3, 2, 1.
God damn, Gary. Some serious gourmet shit. What flavor is this? That's right, it's the all-hell medium roast private blend. Check out the Geek Grind Coffee Nerdrotic page for our other options like the Decadent, Feathers of Liberty, vanilla-infused flavored coffee. Or if you're looking for something darker, try the Dark Roast F&T blend of the Fellowship. You know what? Just buy all three. GeekGrindCoffee.com. Use discount code NERDROTIC.
I hunted, Rob. I hunted for Tobey Maguire's dick.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Wait. I've got an idea.
My mind is a raging torrent, flooded with rivulets of thought, cascading into a waterfall of creative alternatives.
God darn it, Mr. Lamar. You use your tongue prettier than a $20 whore.
Nerderotic.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're beautiful. Oh, stop. Oh, wow. You did so quickly. Welcome.
Wow.
To the Nerdrotic Nooner. Dooner? What's a dooner?
I don't.
That's not till Dune. We'll do the dooner for Dune.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah, man, I'm starting out all right today. I was just looking at our poll, and according to 65% of you, this is your first nooner of the day.
Congratulations. I'm glad we could share this with each other.
Is that what you say?
I'm kidding. I don't know.
That's weird. That's exactly what my wife says right after sex. She could kill me. She's driving right now. Listening. What's up, babe? And our kids are listening too. How do you think you got here? Yeah. Chris is like, what the fuck did I get into?
What the hell is it?
Yeah. A lot of Access Media Cope, and I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. The Witcher's dead. Dead in the water. Fuck around. You find out. We got a lot to talk about. Oh, the strike. The producers want to talk. Right after they enforce force majeure and kill everybody's contract, now they want to talk. It's like it was all part of the plan, Chris. Or Frank. I'm sorry. Everybody, welcome Frank Gore.
Frank.
Hey. Hey, X-ray girl. That didn't sound weird.
That sounded really weird.
I can't do it like Gary, so to speak.
Yeah, you can. You just got to get
Just try.
channel your inner bigot and just go Exodus. Actually, that's my
The Asian
impression.
pass.
That's my impression of Anthony Cumia's Asian impression. So
An impression of an impression.
it's a bad impression of a better impression. Okay. How you doing, Chris?
Doing well, doing well. I was at Midsummer Scream over the weekend, which was a lot of fun. It's a Halloween convention in Long Beach, California. Saw a lot. I would imagine 10,000 people at a convention all wearing black t-shirts. That's what it was. All horror related. So that was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I saw the trailer and a scene from the new Saw movie, which is Saw X, which they're doing a soft reboot. Saw X takes place between Saw 1 and 2. So if you're keeping up with Saw lore, this is it looks pretty good, to be honest. It looks really good. So I haven't been interested in the last few Saw movies. This one looks good. It comes out at the end of September. So there you are. Some indie films to look forward to coming from Lionsgate. So there you are.
What's that horror movie with the hand that you shake? The statue.
Talk to Me.
Talk to Me. A lot of people
Really
are
good.
talking about Talk to Me.
Really good. And as I watched As review this morning of Barbie, he's lent some new insights that I think I don't know. I mean, I think he's got a point. And then I was listening to the Daily Wire backstage, and there's like a civil war at Daily Wire where Brett Cooper and Ben Shapiro completely disagree on Barbie, and Michael Knowles loved the Barbie movie. It's very bizarre. I don't even know if you know who any of these people are, but I love that, like, this very important film about potentially the end of civilization called Oppenheimer comes out, and we're talking about Barbie. Like this, that is
well, it's part of the meme, and you're gonna see, like, if Hollywood ever gets in gear again, like they're gonna like really look to try to match any type of success they try to match, right? Because the one thing streaming offered Hollywood that it never had, but it was an illusion, by the way. But what the one thing streaming offered was a reliable source of revenue, a reliable amount that you can reliably predict. That's something Hollywood's never have. It's you know, that's why unions are so weird in a town that's just based on gambles all the time. That's why it's tailor-made for the gig economy, and I think it would be better off with the gig economy, which is, I mean, in a lot of ways it is. Okay, if you're an editor, not all editors are union, and they're not as hardcore about that in certain aspects. But yeah. They're going to try to replicate this success, and they're going to try, like, they're already trying it with Saw, and there's Saw Patrol that's coming out later this year, because Paw Patrol, it ain't going to work the same way, dude. But it's funny. And if you're embracing meme culture, I'm fine with that. I'm actually, that's fun. That's fun. Barbenheimer, that's a fun meme. It is. Japan doesn't think it's that fun. But then they're retorting with memes that I think are freaking, Ryan was right. I think they're hilarious. It's like Barbie on Osama bin Laden's shoulder, Barbie crashing into the Twin Towers. It's like, we laugh at that shit, okay? At least most of us do. But the response is funny. The response is funny. And as long as you get a laugh, I mean, it's been a minute. Come on.
Yeah.
Been a minute. Although, I can't even get into it. I just went down a rabbit hole on YouTube, and I watched the whole hour and a half of the time of events on the news leading up to 9/11. Freaking horrifying.
Oh my God.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah. I remember I found out about 9/11 from logging on to AOL. I mean, I logged on to AOL. It was, I don't know, in the morning, and I just saw a picture of, you know, the towers on fire, and I just tuned into the news immediately. But I found out from America Online.
I remember AOL. I turned on the news and Dan Rather was there, and I think it's when the first building collapsed. And like the second I saw it, I'm like, we're being attacked.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can have long conversations about that on my other show, probably when it's on Rumble, Forbidden Frontier. So, what was that, Chris?
Sorry, Gary. Interesting news that may interest you. Matt Smith has been offered the role of Reed Richards in the Fantastic
I think
Four.
that's really good casting.
Yes, but can he do an American accent?
I don't know.
It can't be that hard.
I'm pretty sure he can. We'll see
Yeah.
how it sounds though, because like Tennant's American accent was actually pretty good. Benedict Cabbage Patch, his American accent sucks. They should just make Doctor Strange British. I'd prefer that. Right. His accent sucks. So it depends, but Matt Smith is a great actor. So
yes.
He needs a little better agent, and I think his agent's done better for him lately. And I think House of the Dragon absolutely catapulted him to places he's freaking great in House of the Dragon. He is superb in that show. All right. Hello. X-Ray.
People.
A girl.
All I heard was X-Ray white people girl. Could be my new name. It's fine. It's fine. I'm excited. This next month is just thing after thing after thing. We have Anime Matsuri. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately. Then I'm going to be going on a little mini vacation. And then the UK meetup, which I'm so excited for. So we have a poster out. And
yeah, it's not the finalized one. We're actually doing a different one for the meetup. This is temporary right now.
Yeah, because we have myself, Garrett, Gary, Adam, confirmed, and of course Shad.
Shad is going to be there. We're working on some other people. We've actually talked to them and they're interested. And we got to wait till we got it locked down. But it's cool.
There's people coming who you're going to be excited about. Some people that are from there, maybe, or not from there.
I have to contact more. So if you're out there, I still need to contact you because my phone that I lost
you get it
in
back
San Diego. I got it back, but the SIM card didn't kick in. So I gotta sit on hold for like an hour and wait for him to fix it.
Wait, Gary, you got your phone back?
No, I had insurance. So I got another one, but
another of the same giant phone.
it needs to be. It folds out to giant, right?
Your phone is an iPad.
Yes, it has to be.
He needs it to read.
I'm
Okay,
blind.
Chris, don't make him feel bad about that.
No, I'm not. I'm just stating a fact. It's a
Blind
giant
shaming me.
iPad
Jesus Christ, Chris, Frank. Jesus. Yeah, so we have the UK meetup is September 6th. You want to pull that back up? It's at the Sports Bar and Grill. That's what it's called. The Sports Bar and Grill on
Old Street.
174-80 Old Street, London, EC1V9RQ, whatever the fuck that means. United Kingdom, from 6 to 10. From 6 to 8, the wee lads and lasses can go. But at 8, they can't stay past 8. And then, but it's all ages up until 8. And RSVP, it's free. It's free.
Yep.
Just show
and
up.
there's limited spots, so RSVP soon. If you know you're
I know the general feelings about London in the UK. So what we are going to attempt to do is we're going to be running around the country a lot. So we're going to find a place that's way more casual, like that's probably outside that like. And this is just an example. This isn't the place. Like maybe if we're in Bath or something like that, we'll just say, hey, come meet us here on this day or whatever for a casual meetup outside of London. Outside of London for those of you who do not want to go to London. But that's going to be kind of last minute. This is the meetup. Yeah. More people will be there than just announced. Yeah. It will be tons of fun. So look forward to seeing you there.
Follow us on Twitter for updates because we'll just post and maybe see you guys wherever.
The Americans, the Canadians, and some Vegemite eating fucking Aussies are coming to UK. Can't wait. We also have something a little closer, not this weekend, but the next weekend. Fellow weebs, you know, I'm a bit of an anime manga expert myself. Not quite as much of an expert as I am in gaming, but pretty close. Pretty close. I know my shit, okay? You come here for the anime manga takes. That's what you do. I'm going to be at Anime Matsuri. I'm going to be at Anime Matsuri with Perry Chan. Perry motherfucking Chan is going to be there. Of course he is. Of course some Asian representation has to kind of be there with me.
Simulu.
My Simulu. That's what he is. You know who else is going to be at Anime Matsuri? Critical Drinker. Critical Drinker. Nick Rekieta. Chrissy Mayer. Many, many others. Chrissy's got a show that weekend. We're doing Friday Night Tights. We're doing a panel. So I look forward to seeing you there. What's the dates on that are?
The 18th or 11th to 13th.
11th to 13th. So that's not this weekend. That's next weekend in Houston, Texas. Not terribly far from where I live. A pretty easy drive. And that makes it a lot easier for me, which is good. So Mrs. Neurotic will be there too. We'll have fun. Tons of fun. You got anything fun coming up, Chris? He's probably getting coffee. No,
I do not. Oddly, I do not. I might go to Dragon Con. It's one of my favorite conventions. I love it. Anime Matsuri, I would like to go. I don't know if I can swing it. It'd be like a last minute thing.
I think we can work something out. I got a little work to get done, but once that's done, well, and the other half of my brain returns home today. So
Aww.
Melissa returns home today. So like shit will get a little more organized.
Yeah, I would like to go just because the bunch of the people I know and I'm a fan of, I'd like to meet in person. Drinker in person, Nick Rekieta.
Hell yeah. Well, and then like you could make it a business trip, get you on Normal World. So maybe
yeah.
I want to go.
We'll see.
Yeah. We'll talk offline, but yes, I really do want to go to that event.
But this is I saw this last night. I mean, it's typical Access Media. I'll share it with you, X-Ray Girl, in the private chat. But I mean, like it is amazing how the turns have tided.
Oh no!
How the turns have tided.
I've been hearing so many anecdotal little stories, Gary, about how the strike is affecting the industry. Certain restaurants the business is way down. A buddy of mine who's in our movie meetup group, he got laid off from his job at a lighting company.
Yeah,
I mean they just provide lights. So the one thing that no one has talked about, you've seen all these actors posing for selfies. You've seen writers talking about how they used to work 9-12 months a year. Now they work 3 months a year. But what no one is talking about, maybe because it's not glamorous or sexy, are the below the line people, gaffers, the makeup, hair makeup, the lighting, like all those people, people who drive the trucks, all the below the line people that are not working and starving for work right now. And the fact that has not even been touched upon is irritating to me. And they've estimated, I think the current estimate is the state of California has lost $4 billion since the strike began. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me. But that's a and counting figure.
Mm-hmm.
So this is look, movies are going to move schedules, fine, whatever. But if it gets to the point where the Oscars are going to be canceled, I don't think anybody's going to care because the ratings are so bad.
But Hollywood cares.
Hollywood cares.
Hollywood cares. We could give a shit.
Award season is canceled, which is a huge business in the fall. And I'm a minor part in. I'm a minor cog in that machine, only just because I get invited to see movies.
Freebies, you shill.
Freebies, yeah. Well, hey, hop on the ride. You could be my +1. But look, all I am is one vote in an organization.
If I was closer.
Yeah. What's that?
If I was closer.
Dude, I would love you to go. It's like fun. You get to, meet and talk to a lot of people, like one-on-one, where they're less full of shit.
Dude, you are not kidding.
Yeah, more like
when it's one-on-one with some of these people, you get some truth. And believe it or not, if I was like a soulless fucking bastard, something I am, I could go, I'm not under any NDAs. I could run out and make videos, and a couple of these things would get millions of views.
You'd be surprised.
But they would be fucked. They would be fired. They would be immediately fired.
100%. But you'd be surprised how more based most people in Hollywood are. I feel that the parroting views on social media is more performative than anything else.
Yes.
It really is. It's performative to please cast me. Please continue to allow me to work in this industry. I'll keep my private views private, but I'll be fake mad about something because, to be honest, especially when I look at like someone like Ron Perlman, don't forget for a minute, they're actors.
Yeah, that's why
That's
why I say adult pretenders. And it's not to say they don't feel this stuff, but there's just a way to, hey, if you really want, because this isn't going to work anymore, Chris. This model of we're going to go out. This, by the way, this goes for politics too, but we'll keep it in pop culture. This model of I'm going to go up and fucking lie to you. And you, me, all of us know it's a fucking lie, but we're protecting the business. So we even go, well, that's completely understandable. They can't go out and say their own shit is shit because that's not good for the business. Shit's not going to work anymore. You're going to have to be fucking real. Bud Light could have fucking stopped their decline in its tracks by going, we fucked up, sorry. But they couldn't fucking do it because it would show weakness. It's not, you know what weakness is? Not being able to admit you fucked up when you fucked up. That's fucking weakness. That is weakness. Hollywood is filled with weakness. So weak. It is so weak and cowardly. That's why the activists were able to come in and take over everything because everybody's fucking scared. When you really don't need to be. There's a few people out there who skirt Bill Burr. Bill Burr is a person that a lot of people calls out the PC. I think that guy skirts the line. I think he's a giant fence sitter, and he abandoned Anthony Cumia. So I'm not the biggest fan of Bill Burr. But there are others who will go. Like Dave Chappelle gets a pass. Why does Dave Chappelle get a pass? Because he's fucking real. He's real. This is a dude who turned down $50 million. $50 million back in the day when it's worth a lot more now.
Right.
So it's authenticity. That's what's going to you don't have to shit on something to be real about it. Just go, we did our best. Didn't work. A lot of you didn't like it. Sorry. That kind of humility would go so far. Who knows what the Barbie actors and directors and producers will be saying right now during this hit? It would probably be tons of imagine Simu Liu just in interview after interview right now will be fucking cringe. It's helping the movie that nobody can fucking talk about it, and it's just kicking ass right now.
Yeah.
It's probably helping it a lot. We don't have the actors out there, and you're right. They're just empty-headed NPCs that get filled with a bunch of, that's why I call them adult pretenders. Some of them are fine. Some are good. There are some good ones out there, but most of them are stock photo models, who went to art school. They don't know shit about shit. So it's like Ricky Gervais said, Greta Thunberg's gone to more school than they have. I've gone to more school than they have, and that's not a lot.
That's true.
But now they're being played. They're being absolutely played right now. But yeah, that bullshit of just we're going to go and fucking lie to you is just not going to work anymore. And I know it's tough for this kind of industry, but that's the first thing you have to shift. You need to start being honest with your audience. Lauren Hissrich Schmidt is a fucking liar. She came out and said that this is going to be a one-for-one adaptation of the book, and Henry Cavill's going to get this heroic send-off. Those are fucking lies, and she knows it. She knows it. Every time Alex Kurtzman came out and said, this is going to be more Star Trek now, that's a fucking lie. And he knows it. And we know it. And even the people defending him knew it. And it's time to like stop pretending. All right. Fuck this shit. I'm so tired of that. That's what I'm tired of. Just be real, you know? Just like, yeah, there's a fucking agenda in my movie. You know, like at least tell the fucking truth.
I liked season 1 of The Witcher, and I remember starting to play the game and thought to myself, oh, I'm just gonna play this game like every day if I go down the rabbit hole. You know, I tend to play games now where I can just dip in and dip out. It's not like a long, you know, it's not like playing Gollum. You know, I loved when you were on. Well, you weren't on Tuesday night's main event, but you commented as a gamer. Oh my God, I died.
Oh my God, they were gatekeeping me in the chat. I said they were arguing over fucking Xbox and which one's better, Xbox or PS or PlayStation or Sony. And I said, as a gamer, I think PC wins. And I got people going, get out of here, fake gamer. Yeah.
I was dying when I saw that.
That's right, Mark. PC wins all day long.
It was awesome. I really wanted to get in that debate because that was like a rebirth for me. I mean, I played games kind of early on in the 90s, whatever, Sega, Nintendo, kind of, you know, pieced out for a bit. And then it's like new resurgence and the Xbox 360, I love that. I waited 18 hours in a line at Best Buy. I spent the night on the street to get an Xbox 360 for my kids for Christmas.
That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. I love that story.
Yeah, 2005. So
for his kids.
Yes, for my kids. That was the last time
I got a PS3 for my kids. They got their revenge because I got a PS4 for me, and my kids took it, and I never fucking played it a single second on it. But no. Yeah. It's as a gamer. I might play Gollum again. Maybe I get like every time I watch the fucking Witcher. God, it's taken a couple of extra days because I just needed a moment after Secret Invasion, and I watched those 3 episodes of The Witcher. They are so fucking bad. They are so bad. It's indescribably. I mean, like coming off of an indescribably bad 6th episode of Secret Invasion and going to this, and it's like it really kind of sums up and puts a bow on like failure on Netflix's absolute. This is their biggest failure. Like they just fucking burned hundreds of millions of dollars. This thing doesn't have a chance. They should fucking cancel it right now. They should cancel it right fucking now. This thing is going to die in the vine. Just like we told you with the Rings of Power, cancel this shit because you're just going to end up like burning money. But they're too stupid and too big to turn around. Hopefully this gives them an out. They have ceased production of season 4, and believe me, I'm sure it's on the table. I'm sure they're doing a wait and see right now. And if it gets bad, yes, they'll pull the plug. I think they would. I think there's like a 5% chance they'll do it because this ends so bad, and it's so laughable. It's a laughably bad adaptation of the book. For one, it's like dinner theater. There's this big fucking coup in Aretuza, right? It's supposed to be this huge battle between elves and mages and the Witcher's there, and people are just getting killed, and they reduced it down to like 10 people fighting in a room. And a bunch of people keep dying, but they keep respawning somehow. I don't know. And it's mostly men dying for the one. And the best description of this show is women fighting women most affected. The Witcher hates men more than Barbie does. The Witcher hates men a lot more than Barbie does. Holy shit. I should have heard my wife's review. Which is... How do you fuck up Henry Cavill in leather pants?
Yes. Just Henry Cavill. I don't understand why they just can't embrace the fact that men want to be Henry Cavill, women want to bang Henry Cavill. So there you, I mean, I'm sure there's some men that also want to bang Henry Cavill. I want to be, you know, I want to make sure I'm saying this in a PC way. I really don't care. But I don't understand. Like, he's just so, I mean, he's just, I don't know. Why is he not playing James Bond? Why is he not, what is the deal? You know, and you even see like his off camera demeanor when he talks to fans, or when he built that PC and just filmed himself building it. Like, he's a legit gamer.
Dude, what he said, fans weren't toxic. Like,
Right.
one interview gave that guy more cred than anyone in Hollywood. And it was just a simple, honest answer of, they're not toxic. They're just passionate. That's the way fandom is.
Because he is a fan, so he understands fans.
He showed
And-
respect and in turn got respect. You see how this works, Hollywood?
Yeah.
Fuckers. Okay, pull this article up. Is that your dog piping in there? Your dog agrees.
Yeah,
Your dog
she
agrees with
obviously
me.
loves Henry Cavill.
Yeah, see? Dogs love Henry Cavill.
That's right.
Dogs want to bang Henry Cavill.
Speaking of
No.
the turns tiding, this is Variety. By the way, owned by the Penske Media Corporation, who also owns Deadline, The Hollywood Reporter, the Rolling Stone, a lot of other places. So when you hear Deadline's probably the best of the bunch, to be honest with you. They do a lot less opinionating, but quite frankly, I couldn't tell you the difference between Hollywood Reporter and Variety. I couldn't tell you the difference.
For the most part, they all regurgitate press releases
Yes.
into stories, and they are a mouthpiece and a tool for, say, a producer that wants to promote their career to kind of, it's a PR rag for the industry. Having said that, there will be the occasional investigative story, but it always has a point of view that I think compromises and kind of reveals the agenda. And it's irritating. So I always have read the trades, even like back in the 90s, with skepticism of like, these are just press releases, because I can't tell you how many times things are announced and never happened. I remember buying Variety when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And there was a full page ad about James Cameron's Spider-Man coming from Canon Films. A real thing that almost happened.
I remember. I used to like Premiere magazine. Like when I bought magazines, I thought Premiere was the most nerdy. Like they focused on nerdy stuff more than all the other trades.
I had a war with Premiere magazine because they would rip me off constantly.
I'm sorry, I
So
contributed.
there's a whole story behind my war with Premiere magazine, which ended badly. But they were constantly like ripping off stories from Film Threat, the print magazine in the 90s.
Yep.
So screw Premiere.
They're dead now. So
they're dead. Yes.
you outlasted them, buddy.
Yes, I've outlived everyone in that respect.
That's why you want to stay indie. You know.
True.
I talked about this. Like the small business is the best form of capitalism. Okay. Private ownership, best form of capitalism, because, when I had my comic shop, I didn't have to, like, if I broke even one year, wasn't the end of the world, or if I matched the previous year, it wasn't like, oh my God, it's like, oh shit, we survived. Cool. Like that's all you have to do. If you could pay your employees, pay your taxes, pay yourself a little bit, have fun. That's right.
The other thing, sorry, Gary.
It's okay.
The other reason to remain indie, or just to be an independent creator, and I've done both, right? So I've been an independent creator. I've always been an independent creator, always with a project, right? Or like Film Threat. But then I'll work for a company like G4 or IFC or FX, where I've done television shows and whatnot. And I've written for Variety and The Reporter and other mags, like back in the day. I did a big story about the history of Sundance, where I got to interview Robert Redford, among other people. But I'll just say this. When you are an independent creator, you are in control of your own destiny.
Of your life. Yes. There's no net, but that's life. It's a valuable lesson, and it really shows, like, how much am I into this?
Yes.
Like, look, how much I am willing to risk everything for this type of freedom. So
even more important, you not only do you control your own destiny, you decide what your value is.
Oh, yeah.
What I always sort of, despised about working for any corporation is they decide how much you are worth. You know what? I know what I'm worth. And look, I can work 12, 18-hour days. I could probably make a lot more money or be more financially successful. But I have learned there is no correlation between the amount of money you make and happiness. There never has been.
No.
In fact, I would say that probably one of the happiest periods of my life is when my kids were little and I was broke. And you know what we did? Nothing. We played video games. We stayed in. We had barbecues. We cooked together. I wasn't making a lot of money, but you know what? We were happy. And
Yep.
I can't like, and then the times where I've made a lot of money, that comes with a certain level of stress. There's even I saw they did some study and they said that the sort of most happy is like people that make like sort of like on the cusp of that. Figure's a lot different now, but I think it was like $70,000. If you make about 70 grand, you live a decent life, you know, you're happy. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's this country is going through a weird
Lot of
phase.
changes.
A lot of changes.
That's another conversation I'll have on Forbidden Frontier.
Exactly. Sorry to keep derailing.
No, it's okay.
here.
It's okay. We're gonna watch this, but
Okay.
you remember the Mayan calendar, 2012. But I thought the world was gonna end, but actually, it spoke of a paradigm shift. I think that paradigm shift happened. We'll talk about that on Forbidden Frontier. Secret Invasion was a mess, but Marvel had already lost its way. Whoa, bigots! Listen to these bigots at Variety. Yeah, I'm reading this because this is just a giant "we told you so," and I mean you in the chat. You were right. You were right. You were always right. You always have been right. People questioned you. People besmirched your character, but you stood strong. And now, well, they're eating a lot of fucking crow. Is in the only way that the Access. This isn't the Access media coming out and going, "We were wrong. We're sorry." Although they should. They fucking should. You know, terms like toxic fandom. That is a media created term. I'd love to get to the origins of who created that, by the way. I'm sure it's
Gary,
been.
I wonder if we could get. Is this story on X? I mean Twitter.
Yes, that's where I found it. Was on Twitter.
Okay, if you could quote tweet it, and if we could get a couple hundred people to quote tweet this and say Nerdrotic was right.
I already tweeted it last night.
But no, I'm saying other people, not you.
Oh,
just say Nerdrotic was right.
I don't know if I was right. I was one of the people who was right. Okay, I'll just say.
All right, you don't want to take credit. It's all good.
No, because like the fans should take credit for this. This is all about the fans. I mean, right. That's cool and everything. Like, hey, I love love, but let's the fans deserve this kind of vindication. The ones who have been through all this shit. That's why we're here. Okay, and they can take their little victory lap and just soak up the fucking copium and the humility. And we've seen things change. Like Forbes is downright entertaining to read right now when it comes to The Witcher. I'm loving what's happening at Forbes when they talk about The Witcher, because they are just pulverizing that show the way I will. And for good reason. I mean, they are Witcher fans. They know the book. They know the game. And when you have knowledge of something, better than I do, by the way, they can talk about it with an expert opinion, and they are rightfully pissed because that show completely subverted. That show is everything wrong with Hollywood. We have a lot of examples of everything wrong with Hollywood, but it's the most recent example of everything wrong with this town. So you have some fucking feminist writer who doesn't give a shit about high fantasy and turned it into low fantasy. But let's talk about the other thing that got fucked up. Marvel. Spoiler alert, this story discusses the plot developments of the finale of Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion, currently streaming on D+, but maybe that doesn't really matter to you, and maybe that's okay. So now I'm waiting for the article. Marvel is failing, and that's a good thing. I'm like, bitch, that's my title. Don't take it. But they're going to do it. You know they're going to. And Chris, I predicted this years ago. I'm like, when this woke shit and I'm not the only one. When this woke shit starts dying, all these motherfuckers are going to come out and say in a couple years, I was never about that. Fuck that woke stuff. In 2000, because I think some people still fear it. Our boy Shad has been doing some tit for tat with Angry Joe. And the best point he made, he's been fighting with Angry Joe over his Barbie review. The best point Shad made, he made a lot of good points, was Angry Joe is scared of his audience. He's scared of his own audience. That's why he'll like change midstream with his opinions on She-Hulk and stuff like that. For one, it's not your audience, Joe. It's an audience that we all share. So for one, don't be scared to tell the truth. If you are, then this is the wrong place. I know that won't go through to a lot of content creators, but that's okay. In 2007, at my very first San Diego Comic-Con, I witnessed the entertainment industry change in a matter of minutes when Jon Favreau debuted the first footage of Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man. I was there. That was pretty cool.
Same.
At the time, Marvel Studios was an independent company banking its entire future, and this is true, on third-tier characters played by an untested star. Well, no, a star that had been to prison who people would not insure. So taking, like, that's even a bigger risk, in my opinion. An effort that many in the industry and the fan community alike regarded with deep skepticism, if not outright derision. When Iron Man was announced as a movie, there was no derision. It was just, oh, okay. Hopefully it's as good as Blade. That's kind of all we're like, hey, wow, they're making a fucking Iron Man movie. Cool.
By the way, I was doing the junket for the movie Scanner Darkly, directed by Richard Linklater.
Yeah, I remember.
Starring Keanu Reeves. Okay, so I did that junket, got to meet Keanu Reeves. It was weird, kind of surreal thing, because I've known Linklater since the early 90s, okay? So, and he's been a fan of Film Threat and read the mag and, whatnot. So I know it. And Robert Downey Jr. has a part in that movie, and I got to interview him. It was also doing this junket for G4. It was also the same day that it was announced that Robert Downey Jr. would be playing Tony Stark, Iron Man. That came out in the trades the day of the junket. It was crazy. I went up to him, I congratulated him, and I said, "This is great. You're so perfect for the part. I cannot wait. Congratulations." And he said, "I'm just excited to be in a movie my kids can see."
Oh, that's awesome.
And that was cool because his whole story of like he basically became the character that he played in what was that movie?
Less Than Zero.
Less Than Zero, which I remember reading that novel. And the movie was fine. I like the soundtrack, whatever. But like his character goes in a dark place. That became his real life. Remember him waking up in he was doing drugs and breaking into people's houses. He was doing Ezra Miller shit back before it was Ezra Miller doing it. But he cleaned up and he got sober. His wife became his manager, and you're not doing this BS anymore. And he became, he had a complete turnaround, and I love that. So
no, everybody loves a redemption story. He absolutely earned his redemption. Yes. He practices recovery. He's done everything, good. Whether you'll agree with his political views or not, the guy's been a positive thing from Hollywood, like surviving Hollywood, and good. And everybody was fucking rooting for him. Come on, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang came out like prior to that, like that. There was buzz from Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is a damn good movie, by the way.
Yeah.
With Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr. At the time, Marvel Studios independent, the film had just finished shooting, so the footage only had one real VFX shot of Iron Man suit flying alongside a jet fighter. The rest of the preview relied on Downey's charms and in-camera footage of him as Tony Stark in the giant Iron Man suit Stark constructs in the beginning of the movie. It blew the roof off of Hall H. The footage was delightful and scrappy and inventive, a welcome antidote to the bloated trajectory of superhero movies that decade. That's right. Like people were talking about superhero fatigue back then, and like Iron Man changed everything. Iron Man changed everything. You want to know why it changed everything? They'll probably get to this point, but I'll get to it first. It was authentic. It was some nerds who like this stuff, based a lot of stuff off the cartoon, by the way. Just told an Iron Man origin. And Iron Man looked like Iron Man from the comics, both as Tony Stark and the suit one of Stan Winston's last designs, by the way, if not the last design before he passed away. And that's why it did very well. Also had tons of heart and a great performance by Robert Downey Jr. Does not hurt. The next year, Iron Man was a runaway sensation, grossing $585.8 million worldwide. By 2012, the Avengers had grossed $1.5 billion. The Marvels shoot the moon gamut to create an interconnected cinematic universe, wound up dominating the industry for the rest of the decade. And keep in mind the risk that Paramount took. Do you know about the risk that Paramount and Marvel took at the time?
I don't.
Okay.
Don't.
So the risk they took is they put up these characters, Thor, Hulk, Captain America, and Iron Man. They banked this on the characters. In other words, if these failed, they would have lost the characters.
Yeah.
That's a fucking ballsy gamble. So, I'll never forget the headline I read in this thing called The Newspaper. It's like the internet, but on paper. And it said Merrill Lynch advises people, hey, bet on this Paramount thing, because even if you lose, you might get a piece of Captain America. Wow. I kept thinking about the moment in Hall H 16 years ago while attending this year's San Diego Comic-Con. Marvel Studios, like virtually the rest of Hollywood, was a no-show due to the Film Actors Guild and Writers Guild strike, and yet that July 21st weekend, the culture was unmistakably going through a similar and perhaps equally monumental realignment as audiences were clamoring in record numbers for Greta Gerwig's unabashedly feminist comedy Barbie. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. I'm just going to highlight. Oh, you need to highlight it. Highlight unabashedly feminist comedy. Thank you. Thanks. We can agree on something, Variety. And Christopher Nolan's 3-hour biopic, Oppenheimer. The same week, Marvel was wrapping up the 44th title in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the torpid D-plus conspiracy drama Secret Invasion, written by a guy from Mr. Robot, which had, like, the first 3 seasons were excellent. Last one, not so much. Despite initially solid reviews and an outrageously talented cast, including Samuel L. Jackson, who was terrible in it, Emilia Clarke, who was terrible in it, Olivia Colman, who was pretty good. She's good. I like Olivia Colman. Don Cheadle, totally overrated actor. I think the only thing he's ever been good in is Boogie Nights. Ben Mendelsohn, completely wasted. And Kingsley Ben-Adir, who I think actually could be a good villain in another world, in another reality. He was also in Barbie. Wound up being an all-too-fitting example of the slipshod listlessness that has pervaded Marvel's storytelling of late. What? Good God, Chris. An X-Ray Girl? They're practically Nazis now, Variety. What the hell? And all but dethroned Marvel as the unquestioned apex of the industry. Marvel dethroned themselves. Disney Marvel. I got to stop dead naming Marvel. Marvel is dead. Marvel died August 31st, 2009. What's that date, Chris? You know that date, Chris? Anybody know that date? Anyone?
What?
That's the date Disney bought Marvel.
Oh, well, there you go.
August 31st, 2009. We're heading up on an anniversary. Marvel died that day. This is Disney Marvel. And I'm just going to say quite a few of us were talking about this way back in Captain Marvel. Eric July. The Jeremys were trying to out-video each other. I did my fair share. I mean, nothing close to those guys. Like, not even close. I think I made like 30 over like a 2-year period. They made like 3, combined 1,000, I think. 1,000. I'm just kidding. It's probably like 800, but whatever. Somebody will count someday. But the running theme through all of that, especially those of us who read the comics prior, If anybody listened to your boy Zach from Diversity in Comics, never should have changed his channel name. Said that a million times. If you read the all new, all different Marvel that came out of Marvel Now, we knew what was coming. We're like, wait a minute, they're doing exactly what they're gonna do. People are like, you're being hyperbolic. They would never fuck up the MCU. This thing's a juggernaut. They wouldn't screw it up. Guess what? They did. They did. And why did they screw it up? Why did they screw it up? What's the baseline argument? What's the foundation of their fuck up? Agenda. 1,000% agenda. Whether it's an unconscious agenda or agenda, it is swimming in a pool in your own piss, by the way, of all the people who think along with you. Anybody who thinks differently can't even be in that pool or better shut the fuck up and enjoy swimming in the piss. I know it's a terrible analogy, but oh well. And that's what brings and what causes that? Political agenda, either fear to speak out or just total domination through authoritarianism, which fucking actors love. They love dictators. They fucking loved it when you were locked down. You see how fucking happy they were? So now, agenda has ruined it. Yes, that's the one thing Variety will never, ever, ever bring up. And that's why people have abandoned the media, because they're just ignoring this one basic truth. Is it the only thing? No. Is it a contributor? Yes. Is it the majority contributor? Yeah, I would say yes. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Tell me, what's a smarter move? Recasting Steve Rogers or making him Black Falcon Captain America, which didn't work in the comics. By the way, they had to reverse the decision within a year. So it's already been proven on a micro level that it was a failure to the most hardcore fans, the comic buyer. It didn't work there. If it's not going to work with them, it's not going to work with the normies. Yep. You had your fucking test marketing right there, and they completely ignored it. Why? Agenda. Agenda. Motherfuckers. It would be a lot easier. Yes, it's risky, but you still have the Captain America costume. And if you get a good enough actor, like all Bond films, like Doctor Who, people will either get used to it. They might say, hey, the first one was the best, but I like, hey, nothing will beat Sean Connery, but I liked Roger Moore. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Over the course of the series, we learn that Cheadle's James Rhodey Rhodes has really been a shape-shifting Skrull named Rava, a girl, by the way. Girl Skrull, Chris. You didn't watch the rest, did you?
No, I didn't. I pieced out after 2 episodes, but I enjoyed your video about it.
Cheers.
Did it come out on Monday? It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out on Monday morning.
Great video, man.
Cheers.
Never miss it. Yeah.
We spent a lot of time on that one. For us.
It was great. Really good.
Rava, the female Skrull, through the character, didn't really need to have a name since the show and evinced no interest in Rava. Well, there was no interest in. So Rava was one of the Skrulls that Nick Fury broke a promise to when they were younger in the beginning, and you were supposed to make that connection that one of those girls in there was Rhodey. Including what it felt like to be a female Skrull impersonating a male human. Beyond her function in the story, more egregious, the series director, Ali Salem, told Variety's somebody Jackson that Rava has been impersonating Rhodey since the events of 2016's Captain America Civil War. Not only does that strain narrative credulity to its breaking point, that's still a nice way to put it. It fucks everything up massively, by the way. It undermines the emotional climax of Avengers Endgame when Rhodey sat with his best friend Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., as he died. In that moment, can get retconned. Why bother investing in anything happening in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Wow. Holy crap.
Man.
And that's how people have felt since the end of Endgame. I think a lot of normies are just figuring out like what some of us pointed out with Doctor Strange Mom, WandaVision, and Loki in particular. Now, by the way, I saw something going around the internet saying that Loki got 80 million views. Where? Wasn't on YouTube. It wasn't on YouTube. And people are like throwing that at me. I'm like, where? Where did they get on TikTok? You mean couldn't be on TikTok. So where? Facebook groups? So Marvel can do this funny little thing with that anybody can do really with your videos. You can embed them. And embed them will give you a false view count because it'll just automatically play. Anybody presses on a page, on a website or anything, it automatically plays, counts as a view. Look at the interaction. The interaction's pretty good on YouTube, but I think the last time I checked, it was like at 8, approaching 8 million views. The first Loki trailer had 24 million views. The trailer was nothing. I didn't care. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. Loki was a fucking hot mess. It was fucking terrible. Objectively awful show. That was a bait and switch. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, but I think this is more of this Marvel marketing. Like, wow, our movie had the most pre-sale tickets of any Marvel film, and then it flops. Remember when they said that for the Eternals?
Yeah,
I do. And then there's Clark's character, Gaia, the Skrull daughter of Mendelssohn's Talos from 2019's Captain Marvel. Deep breath, everyone. In the finale, Gaia impersonates Nick Fury Jackson to deliver the DNA of all the Avengers collected after the Battle of Earth and Endgame to a villain Gravik, Ben-Adir, who uses it to infuse himself with all the other powers, but he also infuses Gaia with those powers, at which point they fight by transforming different body parts of their bodies into different random Avengers until Gaia wins by blowing a giant hole in Gravik's chest. This fight unfolds with all the personality of a Nuvi featurette amid an abandoned Russian nuclear power plant, best described as anonymously gray, using 2 characters we barely know or care about to deliver a glop of undifferentiated fan service. That doesn't make any sense. That is true. Look, they're using the Abomination's arm and the Frost Beast's ice blade and ghost teleportation powers. By the way, how they do that? How'd they do that?
No clue.
How they do that? Because her teleportation powers were controlled by her suit, and she needed to go in some apparatus. They were always in chaos, and they were giving her headaches and stuff. So did that get passed through? Did the suit get passed through with the DNA along with the rings and Drax's tattoos and Black Widow's superhero pose? Maybe. All characters who were not at the battle for Earth. What fun we're having. Well, they did talk about they got the Extremis and some other DNA. I don't know about Ghost's powers. Ghost was not at the battle for Earth. The last we see Gaia, who has, just to underline the point, suddenly become the most powerful person in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. She's agreed to work for Coleman's MI6 operative, Sonya Falsworth, because why not? She could just take over the fucking Earth if she wants. All of this shows issues are mere symptoms of a much larger problem for Marvel. And of course, Variety's not going to mention the other thing, Chris.
What's that?
Nick Fury's relationship being a giant trans allegory.
Oh my God.
Yes.
The other thing that struck me watching your video, which I recommend everyone see, is how great Nick Fury was as a character in the early films. He was amazing. And they just have, post Captain Marvel, he's nothing. He's my favorite one-eyed man of intrigue.
Oh God.
Yeah, that line just irks me.
Ugh. The writing got worse as it went on, believe me. Marvel Marvel, the very things that allowed the studio to soar in the 2010s have become an oppressive burden in the 2020s. First, there's the Marvel Cinematic Universe itself. Secret Invasion wanted to be a tightly wound conspiracy thriller that built off the events of Captain Marvel to dissect how Nick Fury had become so formidable. Instead, it was weighed down by the events of Endgame and an apparent need to cram as many superhero references as possible into the finale. Similarly, whereas the first two Ant-Man movies were relatively self-contained capers, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was succumbed with officially launching Jonathan Majors Kang as the biggest bad in the Marvel Universe. The film ended with Scott Lang wondering if anything happened in the movie mattered at all, which is absolutely true. And they go into Wakanda Forever. Did Black Panther Wakanda Forever really need to keep cutting away from the heartbreaking central conflict to scenes with Julia Louis-Dreyfus's Valentine, Madam Hydra, we'll just say, from The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Did Miss Marvel really need to abandon its story about the generation trauma of India-Pakistan partition to incorporate the Department of Damage Control from Spider-Man Homecoming? Did Chris Hemsworth really need a female Thor? It jumped on me, but I'm going to say female Thor. I hate it when it jumps on me. Did Chris Hemsworth really need to spend the first act of Love and Thunder traipsing around with the Guardians of the Galaxy instead of focusing on emotional devastation of Jane Foster's cancer? No, they did not. None of them. Yeah. But even if all of these projects had excised the unnecessary vestiges of Marvel Cinematic Universe, they would still be hobbled by the Marvel method. See, completely missing the points. Yes, there is some bad. Okay, why does Thor need to be dealing with Jane Foster having cancer when she hasn't been in a fucking movie since Dark World? No.
Yeah, that was weird.
No. Does Thor need to be just have Thor fight Gore the God Butcher? That's all you needed. Thor versus Gore. That's all you fucking needed. You didn't need to weigh him down with King fucking Valkyrie, which is just, it's pathetic. Valkyrie is like one of the worst fucking characters in the MCU. Tessa Thompson's a completely overrated actor, and she doesn't look like Valkyrie. Okay. One of my favorite characters from the books, by the way. Big fan of the Defenders. I'm a big fan of the Defenders. But even if all these projects had excised the unnecessary vestiges of Marvel Comics universe, they still would still be hobbled by the Marvel method. Filmmakers often describe Marvel's approach as highly collaborative. When I interviewed Love and Thunder director Taika Waititi last year for Variety's cover story on Portman, he said that Marvel's films change all the way through post-production, which is true. I've had that verified. What that means is, real terms, is that the Marvel layer of creative executives led by Feige will rip up scripts and storylines throughout the creative process. And if, God, I wonder who's been saying that for a while now. If they believe they aren't working to their satisfaction, no matter how far along that project is, nor how disruptive the changes will be to the finished film series or to the post-production workers on it. The approach, which isn't wholly unique to Marvel, allowed the studio to remain nimble in the 2010s, leaning into ideas and creative directions that were working rather than being tied down to rigid grand design. But it also meant that Marvel movies felt largely homogenous in approach and style. By the way, just want to remind everybody, I put it in my video, but maybe if you didn't see it, Kevin Feige was going to leave the MCU back around Civil War. There was a big civil war. There was an actual civil war between him and Ike Perlmutter. Bob Iger sided with Kevin Feige because Bob Iger was going to run for president, and Perlmutter is a Trump supporter. So they decided to throw him under the bus, call him fucking racist, call him all the shit that just flat out wasn't fucking true. Of course, all the leftoid fucking morons in the media ran with it. They called the man racist. He tried to get a Black Panther movie off the ground forever. They called him sexist because he told an objectionable truth. Girls don't buy action figures. They don't. They fucking don't. Some do, but if you say girls, like the vast majority of the population don't. They buy Barbies, but they don't buy action figures. And that was his whole point.
They
he
buy
would
shoes. They buy shoes. Ask
Yeah.
X-Ray.
I did buy Barbie shoes when I was younger.
See?
Marketing. That pink sole at the bottom. I'm just saying. It's
So
really cute.
they go on to point, I'm not going to read the rest of this thing, but they go on to point out that, to be clear, audiences still haven't cooled entirely on superheroes. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse did very well. They did. One was a holdover. One's a Sony product. And we can also say No Way Home did well. Well, I mean, it's because James Gunn's Guardians didn't get involved in this shit, and it was a holdover. And Spider-Man is a popular character. Even when he's not being played by Spider-Man, he's being played by Miles Morales. Spider-Man's a very, very popular character. Most popular character in the world. More popular than Batman. Batman's close second, but Spider-Man's more popular. Just is. Just is. Now we're getting ready for season 2 of Loki, and I could care less. But I think it is interesting that the Access Media is coming out and saying this stuff, even though they're missing 2/3 of the argument. 2/3 of the argument. It looks like the producers, we don't have to pull up an article. The producers have reached out to the WGA to talk. So why did they wait till now? Chris, do you know why they waited till now?
So they could cancel a bunch of standing deals.
Yep.
Yeah.
They figure our negotiation position will be even stronger when you have no deal. So they're fucking cold-blooded. It's like, you are swimming with sharks. That's a great movie, by the way.
Yes.
Fucking great movie. Swimming with Sharks. There's going to be a deal. I think the actors will get a deal before the writers. I think it'll last. I mean, it could last the rest of the year. I think it could. If it goes into next year, Chris, oof.
Oh, we're screwed.
You're screwed. I'm sure the theaters are screaming bloody murder right now at everybody, going like, look at what we're doing right now. Look at what you're fucking up, you morons. And I don't want the theaters to die. I don't want to support them with my tax dollars either. But there won't be a bailout this time. Not this time. Gremlin Anku has gifted 50 Nerdrotic memberships. This was from the real BBC, right? Yes.
Yesterday.
Yesterday that we missed. I'm sorry. So Gremlin Anku, thank you for the 50 Nerdrotic memberships for $250. My goodness. Chris, I mean, I know your views on the strike. I know you are independent. I am in 100% agreement with that. I would hope, my hope, Neon from Clownfish TV put up a poll asking, like, what would you like Hollywood to do? Burn, improve, something else. Burn won. And it's because they fucking earned it. They earned this. Now, I personally, like I said below, I voted improve because I want most of it just to improve. I don't have a problem with Warner Brothers or Universal fundamentally. Disney can burn, and I think the country would be better off for it. Yeah. Absolutely. Disney can burn and end tomorrow. Don't care. But the rest, I'd like to see improve. I guess I don't know if that's possible at this point. Have you talked to anybody? Have you heard anything? Do you even give a fuck about this strike, Chris, to even know when it might end?
I mean, I first of all, I do care. But I also would like to see better films be made. And I think there needs to be a better pathway that involves mentorship rather than hiring people to virtue signal, which I think Hollywood did so much of, that even the position of the DEI officer at a company, that's gone away. God, I saw a movie. It seems like I've been watching a lot of little indie movies.
Good.
Lately. One with Emilia Clarke that's very good called The Pod generation.
Oh, I want to
Check out
see
the
that one.
trailer.
I want to see that
Yeah.
one, and I want to see the
Oh.
Talk to Me
It's a
one. I want to
weird-
see.
Weird sci-fi, and it looks like it's going to be woke, and is definitely not that at all. I mean, the movie's deceptive in that way. And Emilia Clarke, you'd be shocked that it's the same actress that was in, Secret Invasion.
Well, she's like
She's a good
really
actress,
good.
though.
She's really, really good. So
She can be good when she cares. It's something about Disney and working on a green screen.
yeah,
I just feel like it's tiresome. Like, God, I've heard from actors, they get so tired of working on green screen. They have special glasses that just so you don't see the green, because it just gets so just sort of works on your psyche. Anyways, I do want to see the industry improve, but I'd like to see more independence. I feel like what this is going to do is this is going to shrink Hollywood. I think you sent me that Instagram post and I did a video about it, that the industry is going to shrink because it is small. It's the streamers are speaking out of two sides of their mouths. One, they say to the investors, the stockholders, it's great. We're making the numbers are amazing. And then, to the people they have to pay residuals to, it's not as big as you think, blah, blah, blah. Well, which is it? And I think when the truth comes out, you'll see that like the eyeballs aren't there, that it's not. And what's going to happen to the industry, it's going to shrink. That's what's going to happen. And I think what it's going to do is diversify. I commented on a thread on my personal Twitter, and Eric July talks about all this decentralization.
yeah.
This is so dumb. Big tech likes to reinvent a new word.
I know.
for something that's-
They loved it. Yeah.
It's pretentious bullshit, and it's independent film. It has been around since the beginning of film. Charlie Chaplin was an independent filmmaker. George Lucas is an independent filmmaker who sold his movies to the studios because he needed the distribution pathway to get to the theaters. But one of the most interesting interviews, Gary, if you haven't seen it, you should see it, on Timcast IRL. It was last week. Two of the founders of Angel Studios were there.
Oh yeah,
They were
yeah.
talking about-
I saw some of this one. Yeah.
They were talking about Sound of Freedom, but not just that. There were sort of two really good takeaways from the interview when Tim Pool shuts the fuck up and lets his interview subjects actually fucking talk. He gets some of the best bookings and just wants to tell him bad jokes. I love what Tim Pool presents, but someone in his camp has to tell him he is a terrible interviewer. He talks the topics of the day when he has some of the best bookings ever of people, and so there's like a great 40-minute interview in a 2-hour span. Okay, off of that.
No, I totally agree. What's the best thing about Joe Rogan? Lets people fucking talk. Joe Rogan's the master.
Well,
the
he knows
master.
how to listen. Joe Rogan knows how to listen. He knows how to do an interview. Tim Pool doesn't know how to listen. He wants to tell you his bad ideas.
He talks at you and not with
whenever
you.
Whenever Tim Pool says, quote, you know what would be funny? It's never funny. It's not. Okay, now that I've told you this, you can't unhear that. You're gonna watch him next time. You're gonna hear him say, you know what would be funny, and then he says something. It's never fucking
Well,
funny.
that's
Okay.
I totally agree. And the other reason Joe Rogan works is the levity, dude.
Yes.
Like he is so nimble. Like he can get serious, but then crack a joke at the right time, and it's not just super dry. I mean, there's other like Lex Friedman's good, but like Joe's funny because he's a comedian, but he's genuinely funny, and he can find something funny even in the most serious thing, which makes it way more enjoyable to listen to. And that's why he gets 11 million people, probably more, listening, which is insane.
And Joe has lived a life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been around.
He's had an entertainment career, walked away from it. He has kids. He has raised children. He has a wife. He has built a business. He has some life experience. Sometimes when I see some of these millennium pundits talking, it's like, you have no fucking life experience.
Yeah.
You haven't like yet suffered
What?
financial success and collapse and failure.
When
I've
I
been through
saw,
a lot in my life, so
and listen,
Yeah.
I don't mean to be offensive to any of the ladies on the right, but when I saw some of them come out and go, these guys just want to party and have sex. And I'm like, welcome to life, honey. Happens at the church, happens in politics. Yeah, people are fucking hypocrites. Yes. It doesn't need to entirely diminish unless they're complete creeps. But if you're just like, if you're just trying to hook up, it's like, yeah, What do you think? They're all fucking monks flying around? I mean, shit. Welcome to the world, sweet summer child. You know, and let's. But that was the thing I was kind of laughing at too. There's a lot of pundits who just went straight from their room or their school to this, and it's like, yeah, you know.
And there's this weird assumption that this is all going to last forever. And Gary, you've talked about that just because you're a man who's been through things. And you know that, like, just because this is the way it is today, it could all go away. And you kind of, you know, I think that puts you in this place where, you know, like in Fight Club, where like you've been in some fights and it kind of, the rest of the world just gets dialed down. I just don't get upset about little shit anymore. You know, I've been through some stuff. This is, you know, if this is the worst thing that happens to me today, someone cut me off in traffic, you know what? It's a great day.
That's a great day for sure.
That's my philosophy. So
it's a grading curve. Yes, life is a giant grading curve, and when you've had the rug pulled out from you multiple times, be it my fault or somebody else, I use this all the time. I could be in prison right now. This is way better than prison. Like this DMV trip, way better than prison.
Yeah. You know what? I listen to podcasts. I show up to things early, and I play Words with Friends with my mom. I just, you know what I mean? Like, where's it? You know, chill. Everybody, chill.
The only time I questioned that was Little Mermaid.
Yeah, well, that
I'm like, prison was a little better than this.
I looked at my watch many times during that.
You're right, Chris, and I think I mean, but like it's fine. They are connecting, but maybe like hit the road once in a while. Like Tim used to hit the road. Like Tim used to be in a van down by a river, skateboard and stuff. Like and he used to go like he's been down in it for Vice and stuff. I think he's just been maybe he's in his house too long. I don't know. So I felt that way too during COVID. I felt that way I felt that way too. That's why I've been traveling like a motherfucker since then. So
yeah, same. I'm out like all the time. I go to films, I go to meetups, I go to, you know, hangs with friends, whatever. So sorry about that. The tangents. I'm the king of the tangents. Hail to the chat.
That's why we love you, Frank. Okay.
Yeah. Frank Gore is my party name.
Oh, this is life though. And I think that we have to kind of
Frank
look
the Tank
at
Gore.
the big picture. Frank Gore.
Frank, yes. No, yeah, I mean, it is. Culturally, it's important to talk about the stuff we talk about. But, I mean, that's why I'm not going to get in politics. I have been asked to go into it.
Really? That's crazy.
And no. It's right around the California time. I you know, that was just like, here is something that's directly affecting our lives. Like from COVID and the authoritative policies of the dictator, Gavin Newsom, and like how it affected the person that they said they wanted to protect and lift up, the marginalized woman, right? Half the population. So there's a female-owned business co-owned by a gay man. Shut that shit down. Didn't give a fuck. And then they wanted to rebuild through equity, meaning, oh, if you're white, you're going to be last in line. And now, surprisingly enough, San Francisco has no fucking businesses anymore. I can't remember. There's a great channel. It's this Latin kid. He's fucking funny as fuck too. He's walking around San Francisco just showing like Market Street being closed. I'll share a couple of these videos on Twitter. They're fantastic. I mean, like, they're fantastic videos, and it's sad, but I don't feel sad for San Francisco. I don't. They got what they voted for. That's exactly what they wanted. So they can't come crying now. You can't. I mean, they are, but you can't. They're like, oh my God, there's all these homeless people and every businesses, and it's our city's in a doom loop. How did this happen? Oh, because you let a bunch of Democrats tell you that the evil Republicans are coming to get you in San Francisco. Like, they actually convince people of this all the time. And now the Democrat is too right-wing for most San Franciscans. For most of the limousine, champagne, fucking liberals who don't really go down to those businesses but make all the decisions. And now your big tech overlords have completely abandoned you. They're all fucking leaving, except for Elon, who wants to put an X sign up. And And while the zombie apocalypse happens in the streets of San Francisco, the city council is rallying to get rid of that X sign. Yeah, you got what you deserve.
Yeah, this is what
You
they're
voted.
focused on.
This is what they're fucking focused on. Yeah, you got what you voted for, San Francisco. Quit fucking whining. Stay there, by the way.
So, getting back to my point, I'm sorry about the aside.
ranted
With
that.
Tim
That was
Pool.
my rant.
I find it frustrating to watch his show. And no one can tell him, no one can give him feedback. No one can. I just see that he hasn't improved. Right? Like I've been watching a lot of different YouTubers over the years, and I see them grow and improve and become vulnerable and just get better at what they do. And he is the same. But in any case, so they had the founders of Angel Studios on there. The two big takeaways from that interview, which was fantastic, by the way, how they built their business,
Yeah.
how they were in a battle with Disney, how they fund their projects and build it's not just a project, it's like a movement. So it's like almost it's kind of a crowdfund model, which is, other companies are doing this like Legion M.
Dude,
I don't know if you're aware of that company.
We should
but
get them on. Maybe they'll come on this show.
you should talk to them. So
Okay,
the two
I'll
big
reach out.
takeaways that I got from the interview when they were allowed to talk were, one, people are tired of nihilism. Like
Yes.
in entertainment.
Oh, yes.
Nihilism is dead. We're just tired. Give us optimism. This is why I go to the movies. And so that was an interesting point. The other interesting point was they talked about CinemaCon. We have to go there, even if we have to pay, Gary. We gotta go.
Yeah, we got to go next year.
I think we could get press passes, but here's the deal. They said that they're at CinemaCon, right? And so you've got all the elite of Hollywood coming to Vegas to give a presentation, right? A very Hollywood of these Hollywood movies that they're trying to push on theater owners. But guess what? Most theater owners, they're all based. They're from the Midwest. They're from, different parts of the country. They're from all over America. And they don't think exactly like everyone from Los Angeles thinks. Everyone from Los Angeles thinks everybody thinks this way across the country. That's not true. That is a huge falsehood. And people from LA would benefit from just getting out.
Yeah,
of
the
LA.
reason they think that is because they make the opposing view. They like for the last 5 or 6 years, like if you said, you know what, I'm not down with universal health care, something like you're a Nazi, you're a fucking Nazi. So nobody wants to talk about it. So, and that's the whole point of it. You shut down arguments with pejoratives. That's the weakest. By the way, you've lost that argument, but that's the way it's been. So, I mean, you and I now have talked to a bunch of people who are secretly based, like secretly really based, but they got to be secretly based. Fuck that shit. I'd say at this point, especially during a strike, be brave. So it sucked to see Stephen Amell like basically say the truth. The one actor coming out going, striking is reductive, by the way.
It was the most innocuous comment
Yeah.
that got blown out of proportion. I'm surprised he responded to it and just didn't tell people to fuck off. But the whole thing is with these guys is they said that while they were at CinemaCon with Angel Studios, secretly like theater owners would come up to them and say, "I love what you're doing. Keep doing it." Why? Because their stuff makes money. The stuff makes money. Sound of Freedom's what is it? Is it gonna pass 200 million? It's at the point
Maybe.
now, I'm seeing people that normally wouldn't review a film like this say, "What's the big deal about it?" I saw it. People like David Poland, who does a column called The Hot Button, which, I mean, we don't align politically, but he's, in my opinion, one of the best writers about the industry out there. David Poland, The Hot Button. A woman named, God, I forget her name, but her channel is Deep Focus Lens. She did a review of Sound of Freedom. Like, more people are reviewing it and saying,
Yeah, she's pretty good. She's good.
I really like her. I've never seen her on a live stream, and I wish she would get rid of that brown couch. But I think I love her takes on movies. I don't always agree, but she has great insights. I think she has really good taste. But she talked about Sound of Freedom. She didn't love it, but she was like, "What's the big deal?" And people are realizing this movie's been mischaracterized. By Sound of Freedom, by all accounts, should be nominated for Oscars. They should
Yes.
be talking Oscars for Jim Caviezel, for the child actors, for the director. It's everything Hollywood used to love, which is it's about a social issue. Also, people are not reacting to it around the world outside of the United States the way people in the US. It just shows how compromised and BS the media is, their reaction to this film. And I'll give you another film by recommendation, only because I'm doing my show later. I know we got to wrap up, Gary, but my show Hollywood on the Rocks today with Alan is the show because Critics Court, guilty verdict for Disney Lucasfilm. No surprise on the verdict.
Oh, did it get to the 95%?
It every charge was over 95%. I couldn't believe it. Over 95% for every charge. So I think I'm going to change it next time. And they voted on the next trial. The next trial is going to be Star Trek.
Oh,
it was very close between Lord of the Rings and Star Trek. But it's Star Trek.
Doctor Who's got to be in there too, baby.
Doctor Who was on the list but didn't make it. We had a brackets. We voted on I think like 12 different franchises, and Star Trek won at the end. So, so I'm doing the stream.
I think The Witcher could go on trial at some point too. I think
The Witcher.
I think its fall from grace. We were discussing it because they mentioned it in a Forbes article. And I completely agree. Might be the quickest. There are other shows that had really good first seasons that went to shit. So I guess maybe it's debatable. Westworld, fucking great first season. Great first season. As a matter of fact, with Westworld, just forget the other seasons exist. Just watch season 1 and don't watch anything else if you haven't watched it. And it ends like a perfect Twilight Zone.
I love season 1 of Westworld. I watched like the first episode of season 2 and I didn't continue.
It's fucking went to shit and there's a lot of agenda went. Altered Carbon had a great first season. Umbrella Academy had a great first season,
So there's a movie coming out this Friday in limited release from a company called Roadside Attractions, similar company to The Pod Generation, which is basically a sci-fi comedy. But this movie that's coming out this Friday, I saw it last night, fucking blown away. It's called Dreamin' Wild. I'm not going to tell you it's the greatest movie ever, but it is like that model. It is a totally based film, and it's not a religious movie, but the characters in the movie, they are religious. And they mention religion. And I'm like, oh, this is only the second film I've seen this year that even mentions religion exists.
Go on. Sorry.
Check out the trailer for this movie, Dreamin' Wild. It's based on a true story about these brothers, the Emerson brothers, who did an album in the late 70s, early 80s called Dreamin' Wild, and it went nowhere. They were like kids. They did this album and it just tanked. They had no career. And then years later, in 2011, some record company just discovered them and said, like an old album that like just didn't get its due, and they said, we want to re-release it to people because it just never got a fair play. It's a true story. And then they became huge from this. So just look up the trailer, Dreamin' Wild. It stars Casey Affleck, Oscar winner, by the way, Zooey Deschanel. And I actually saw the real guy was there, that the story, I mean, he's like bursting out in tears. His family's there. He performed. It was just a really moving film. And it's the kind of thing that's like, I see a movie like that and I'm like, why are there not more movies like this? This is uplifting.
Well, because
it's a true story, optimism.
Streaming. Yeah. And I agree. Like that we need to why did Spider-Man explode when it did? It was a good movie. Really loved it. They stayed in the spirit of Spider-Man, but timing is everything. It's right after 9/11.
Yes.
America needed something to root for, right? And, it was centered in New York. There's that scene on the bridge. You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us, American flag at the end. That contributed to its success. It's timing. People need a little hope. They're tired of fucking Hollywood, these millionaires bitching about how bad things are.
Right.
It's like motherfucking Ron Perlman. Look at your face, dude. How in the fuck did you become a popular? You were good Hellboy. You were in Sons of Anarchy. You are an ugly motherfucker, and you got a job in Hollywood because of this country. So shut the fuck up. And I liked him. He's a good Hellboy. He's a great Hellboy. Just a weirdo. I blame drugs. I think he's on drugs. That's just me. That's my opinion. That's what I think about everybody. Real quick, though. So what's going to happen is the A24s of the world and the Angel Studios and whatever studio we were just talking about, we're going to see a lot more of these pop up because they could feed what's left of the machine. The shrinking pie of Hollywood streaming isn't going to go away. The streaming is here to stay. It is absolutely here to stay. It's just not going to be It's going to have like 3 or 4 big ones, and then the smaller companies can feed it with stuff, and that will bring new ideas. That will bring so you're not relying on these IPs, and we get new shit. I mean, Zack Snyder. I was fucking with Jeremy, by the way. I don't think he's a better filmmaker than Nolan. Okay, I don't. But he took his Star Wars. It could be shit as far as I know. But I find it intriguing. I find Rebel Moon intriguing enough to watch because it's a pitch it's a Star Wars pitch that he made his own. I'd like to see more people do that. Probably more talented. Yes. I'm looking forward to. There's a couple Matthew Vaughn movies coming out. I'm looking forward to those. So yeah, and we'll see where Mark Millar goes, the executive of Netflix who we interviewed. He's
right.
fucking,
But
it was
it's like,
awesome.
it's always been my mission and purpose. I feel like every different YouTube channel kind of has like you have a really specific focus that like, I mean, you've gotten so good at what you do. It's amazing to watch. And a lot of different channels have kind of a point of view. The point of view I've always had with Film Thread is like, I love the like big spectacle Hollywood movies when they're good.
Yes.
And it's not often. But to sort of cleanse the palate, I go see indie movies, and that keeps me sane.
See, and I am more of a TV guy. Like
Right,
that's how
right.
I watch Star Trek, Doctor Who, but I like weird TV shows too. You know, like there's one nobody's heard of that I had just a magnificent first season called Counterpart with J.K. Counterpart.
Put that on my
J.K.
list.
Simmons, and he's fucking great. Before I get in the super chat, have you ever heard of the show, Chris?
Which show?
Counterpart.
I've not heard of
It
Counterpart.
had the second season was rushed. The concepts it set up was fucking brilliant. So essentially, it was a Cold War drama between two realities. So back in the 90s, the Russians accidentally copied our reality. So not punched a hole through a reality. They did something that became a perfect copy of the reality. And there was a little tunnel, right? And the two sides met and they kept separate because in the beginning, they were exactly alike. They were mirror copies. But then one side, something happened and it started to drift. And then one side did something horrible to the other side and it started a Cold War. So you have J.K. Simmons. There's two versions. There's two versions of everybody, and they hate each other. And it's a great concept. It was fucking great. Yeah, it just it was on Showtime and it got canceled. It sucked, but fucking fantastic show, dude. So good.
Wow.
That's the kind of stuff I thought we were gonna get right through this streaming revolution. I thought we were gonna get more stuff like that. We didn't. We did not.
Yeah.
Matthew Hammond on the Streamlabs side for 2 parts for $40. Thank you, sir. Gary, check out the email I sent you that details one of the first forays onto network television, turning a male franchise female in a disaster NBC had on their hands. It was described as TweetX thread by Joseph Mazzoli, the producer of Stargate season, Mrs. Columbo in 1978 after canceling Columbo. Oh my God. I don't even remember Mrs. Columbo. I was 8. I watched the shit out of Columbo. Columbo was a fucking great show. Az loves that show too. Buford T. Justice, 2 parts for $60. I'll check out the email, Matthew, by the way. Thank you. I love Chris, but if independent film wants to fill the void left behind by failing Hollywood, then they are going to have to dramatically alter the quality of their scripts. I can forgive poor production quality, but the scripts need to be good at minimum. And let's not forget the independent film scene has the same woke problem the mainstream film industry has. Actually, they were there first. Chris,
Yeah.
They had.
I need to respond to this.
Well, let me finish it, and then you can respond.
Okay, sorry about that, Gary.
As I could say, the indie film scene is far more woke than mainstream Hollywood. Chris, your response.
My response, a couple things. First of all, I love Buford T. Justice and Matthew Hammond. Know them. They're in my chat, and I appreciate them. They both have both have really good insights and remarks and contribute. So I want to say thank you to them, not just for their dollars, but just for like, not just for super chats, but for participating in a conversation we're all having. But yeah, indie film has always been woke from the beginning. It's always been woke. So since I've been sort of like numb and used to that, like when woke stuff was leaking into mainstream, I was like, why is this like, it's perfectly fine for something to be woke for a thing that was made for $1 million and it's made for a small audience. That's fine. I don't care that there are niche audiences that like that thing, but indie film encompasses everything from like the woke documentary about lesbian wheat farmers all the way to, Poultrygeist by Lloyd Kaufman and Troma Studios. Like it's all over the map. It's everything from exploitation and sexploitation movies or movies like from Full Moon Entertainment to Angel Studio stuff. There is more diversity in the types of films in indie film than there are. So you know what? Don't watch those movies. Watch the ones you find entertaining. There's a really good movie that came out with Casper Van Dien called Mad Heidi. Look up the trailer. It's 90 minutes. It's a Swissploitation movie. It's made from a Kickstarter. It was released in theaters about a couple months ago. I went to theaters to see it. It's awesome. It's like a total exploitation movie you would have seen in the 70s and the lead actress in it, she's sort of like Ray. She fights with a staff and she gets totally naked and it's awesome.
That would have made Force Awakens better.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just being honest.
Force Awakens way better.
I'd have given it a much higher rating.
So what I'm saying is there's so many different types of indie movies out there. They're pop culture documentaries, political documentaries. Make it what you there's more variety. There's more indie movies.
The same thing that happened to the independent movies, the same thing. It's like woke belongs in independent. Like Chris said, it's a huge and it's mostly controlled by woke because those are the independent films that get attention by the big boys in Hollywood. But there's a huge segment of horror that isn't woke at all. And there's documentaries that aren't woke. You don't see the fighting in the independent sphere. It's kind of understood that the big boys will, pluck the lesbian wheat farmers as an Academy Award nomination. But if you're out there just for the love of film to make film, you can make whatever you fucking want. And I think right now, Buford T. Justice, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Well,
I think
wrong,
common sense can dominate indie right now. I think it just fucking dominate it. If
I think so too. And I want those movies to exist.
Yeah.
I don't want them to not exist, but they're made for a small market. The problem that Hollywood trying to push agenda, and even a lot of these movies that are woke, they don't really push an agenda. They just they're about like the high school football captain who grew up in the Midwest and coming out as gay. Fine. If that movie made for a couple $100,000, so what? Who cares? There's tons of that stuff. It's small market, makes sense. But I just look at this movie Dreamin' Wild. Just look at the trailer. Okay. It's in theaters. I'm sure it's in limited release this Friday. But that movie, not woke at all. There's not anything. And I could see that story being completely compromised if they'd done it in Hollywood. Beau Bridges is the patriarch of the family. It's very much a family film too. Just watch the trailer and catch it at some point. But that's what I like. It's sort of like when we went to Comic-Con, Gary, and there's the Philippine Latinx trans people in comics panel, but there should just be other stuff too. I don't care that stuff exists. Fine. If there's an audience for it, great. But everything should exist. And everything should exist at the level of the audience. So if the audience isn't there for it, don't make a movie called Bros. That movie Bros, made for $50 fucking million, was one of the biggest financial disasters of last year. Who thought that the funniest thing though was Chrissy Mayer's video watching the film. And I think I was one of the few people that went to see it. Don't make a movie like Bros for a mainstream audience. It's not mainstream. I had friends of mine who were gay who said, I don't want to see that film. So, everything to scale to its audience. And it's fun.
But that's what happened in comics too. The Alternative Press Expo took over the comic book industry, probably because they were cheap. None of them had ever really earned any money in the comic industry, so they were lowballed, and that's why the quality has gone down, because there's less money and they can't afford the better talent who's obviously gone out on their own and finding great success in independent. We're seeing a start in comic books. We're seeing a new wave of independent comic books. That kind of reminds me of what happened in the 80s. I don't think it's quite as big yet, but you never know. But it's getting there. But it's happening in comics first, because comics is the one thing that can change faster. People can just fucking leave and make a comic book.
Right.
It's a little harder to do that with TV show and a movie. Okay, Geralt for $50. 50. Hey, Gary. I heard you had AIDS. Oh yeah, I came down with a huge case of AIDS. By the way, it was spelled.
I died when I watched that.
Hope you get better and keep up the great work. I'm fine. I have recovered from my AIDS. I'm on the AIDS cocktail, like Magic Johnson.
Did you get it while in California?
I did.
You went to Barbie?
You tell those console peasants their place, says Brennan Schultz for $20. I agree, console peasants. Red Dead Redemption was on a console, but my other 3 favorite games were not. City of Heroes, Diablo, and I like Witcher 3 quite a bit. Ian So Forth has gifted 10 Neurotic memberships for $50. Cheers. 50. Feeling Dangerous 113 for $10. Hi, Gary and Chris. I find it insane that Disney can't get a profitable movie at all. I looked at the box office for Haunted Mansion, and the budget cost $150 million. They may have to make movies cheaper. That's the problem. When you get too big to succeed, you can't contract. You have shareholders who are always pulling their little shareholder strings. Thanks to both of you for taking pictures with me at Comic-Con. You two were so humble and nice. Chris, please turn your mic volume up. Love you guys. Says Pat and Jessica's Jeep Adventures for $4.99. Chris needs a new mic.
I need a new mic. Yes. And my apologies. Yes. Now that I'm like past Comic-Con, past all this nonsense, shipped out. I think by the end of this week, all the Blu-rays for Attack of the Dock will have been shipped. So if you pre-ordered, it's going out this week. We promised first week of August. We're going to make that deadline. So I don't have a warehouse like Eric July, man. I saw some.
Oh, pull that drone footage up. That's freaking awesome, by the way.
Congrats to him, man. He's building the machine. You know, congrats. It's awesome.
Morons coming out there going, some of the shelves are empty. You can't have your warehouse full all the time. You know, go outside. Go outside.
Yeah.
Maybe get a job before you say anything.
Yeah.
Please. While you're pulling that up, X-Ray Girl, Joey Fouts. Are you related to Dan Fouts? My all-time favorite quarterback. Saw Oppenheimer last night and completely agree with you, Gary. It was pretentious and up its own ass with jump cuts and intense staring. Jeremy has major blinders on when it comes to Nolan. You know, that's why I love Jeremy. That's why we all love Jeremy. Jeremy finds something that he loves and he just loves it to death. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of fans like that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure I've got my blinders too. But no, I mean, it's not a terrible movie. It's just not one I'll ever see again, but people are loving it. Like, I cannot deny that. The thing is killing it at the box office. But it ain't no Prestige, man. That is a fucking good movie. That is a banger. Let's see this. No sound. There we go. We got sound. Look at this part right here. That's right, mother. Ah! Report! He's fulfilling right now. You might be getting your ice on too today, tomorrow. Maybe you got it yesterday.
Some people have already received them.
That's right.
I got my shipping notice. I got my notice.
Yeah,
on the way to me.
I have to go check my UPS store
I
after this.
ordered day one.
When I go to the gym. Go to the gym. Lady Gravemaster for $5. You're not supposed to be super chatting, Lady Gravemaster. I'll be calling Ryan and HR on Melissa's behalf for that joke. Oh, shit. Now you're going to rat me out. I knew I shouldn't have introduced you to my wife. I knew you'd always take my own fucking people. They're siding with Dan Vask. Rat me out to my wife. What did I do to deserve this? What was that?
You did it to yourself.
I did it. I did.
That one, at least.
Rhino Helix for $10. The Witcher hates men so much. In the first season, the bad guy's Nilfgaardian armor was wrinkled to be, I kid you not, to be deliberately reminiscent of ball sacks. Pure misandry. It is. And like, Henry Cavill carries that season 1. Like, his scenes are the good scenes. The girl playing Yennefer is fine. Like, doesn't look like Yennefer at all. But she's fine. She's fine. It's not what I have the problem with Lauren Hisrich Smith, who clearly all that positivity went to her fucking head and she took all the wrong things out of it. She's like, oh, people love this series because of my writing. So I'm going to do more of my stuff now. And just completely ignoring the fact that Henry Cavill is why people watch that show and The Witcher 3. And the further you got away from that, which you never were, by the way, part of the game, the further you got away from that, the more people saw it. Like, season 2 was not well received. It's in the mid 50s in the audience score, right? Of course, they completely ignore that and go to the critics who remember the critics were harsher on season 1 because the time jumps didn't bother me at all. I figured out what was going on. And I kind of now we find out it was basically them cheating because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. By season 3, it's as bad as Blood Origin. Like, Blood Origin was a precursor to that second part of season 3. They are equally as bad. It is fucking legit terrible. Like, I was watching that 7th episode with Ciri walking through the wasteland, and I was looking for shit to do. I was looking at my phone. I watered all my wife's plants in the backyard. Sat down for 10 minutes, watered all her plants in the first yard, watered my grass. I have my own grass that I can touch, by the way. Filled up the pool with a little water, went for a fucking swim for a little while, then went back. It took me 3 hours to watch that 7th episode. It's so fucking bad. And that's why I've kind of taken my time with the reviews. Like, I can't do that anymore. I can't watch it anymore. And Lauren Hisrich Smith is a liar. Alexander Ducasse for $2 says, connected, I saw A+ AOTD. I don't even. And then there's
I have no idea.
Attack of the Dock.
Attack of the Dock. Hashtag
AOTD.
connected. Oh, A+, by the way. He says A+.
Oh, it all makes sense now.
By the way, you put one bad review from a guy named Eric Childress. I might do a video about it. This guy, Eric Childress, gave Attack of the Dock a bad review, which knocked my 100% critic score to 86%. And his criticism of the doc was it didn't get into toxic culture and how fandom has turned so toxic. It's like, that's not he's reviewing a movie I wasn't trying to make.
Okay, so I need to make, why didn't you tell me this? We should have made this whole fucking live stream about that.
Oh, well, this guy is, I don't know, he's all over the map. But
no, you need to make a video, Chris. You need to make a video responding to that.
I'll do it. But
do it.
I'm reading his review and I'm like, it's like he wanted me to make a movie about
toxic culture. And he's a critic. He's an official critic, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So
fuck that guy. Fuck that piece of shit. That's why the official critics are fucking dying because of this toxic fan narrative. Go fuck yourself, dude. I'll make a video about that motherfucker.
Right. It's a narrative that they want to emphasize. And my point of the video was, remember back in this era, we celebrated this stuff. We weren't vilified for not liking a thing. And the thing is by exclusion, what I'm trying to do is bring people back to an era and back to an era where we just debated about shit. I don't think I'm talking any differently than I did back then.
No, you weren't. You aren't.
I'm not, and neither
no.
are you. It's just that everything's been politicized.
Well, there's also a bunch of normies who were bloggers who thought they could get an easy job talking about fucking entertainment and shit that can take them somewhere else. That could get them so political, because a lot of the political people get their start in other parts of journalism. So they come in here and then they make it all fucking political. So no, actually, it was the toxic fucking journalists who started all this shit. Fucking metaphorically die. Okay. And I mean your job, not you. PerkTube 1 for $5. Gary, which superhero dealt with the highest number of common criminals? Spider-Man or Batman, or who else? Well, Batman, because he's in more comics.
Yeah.
Batman's in more comics. So Batman dealt with more common criminals by far than Spider-Man. What hero, the Shadow, dealt with a lot of common criminals? Pulp stuff. But what hero dealt with them the most? More than, I can't think of one more than Batman. Superman did back in the early days. But Batman's been around longer. So that's the answer to that question. Perturbed, what is this? Perturbed alpaca. Okay. Perturbed alpaca. I can read for $10. Tim's comeback, that is always, it's a show format or something about it not being an interview. Okay. I mean, like, I understand that. And like, he'll like, his numbers will pop. Like, his numbers are always consistent. Like, they're really good. He's consistent. His numbers are consistent. They will pop around the election. They'll get up to 60, 100,000. And a lot of political people will pop around the election, as they always do. Yeah, I would say it's more of a show. It's more of a show. I would agree with that, but you still have to have, we don't even always pull this off. On FNT, our guests are guests. You are a guest panelist. It's not an interview. So maybe it's the same thing. But I think I agree with Chris, is if you're booking, and we book some pretty fucking awesome guests. We love our people. But like, you're on this huge center stage and you got Angel Studios there, or you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene or something. You let them fucking talk. You don't talk over them. And he talks over, like, do you hear Joe Rogan talking over a guest that often? No. You don't.
No.
You know. Now, we talk over each other all the fucking time on Friday Night Tights, but that's a show. That's the show.
StreamYards. I find there's less talking over when we're in person, and those interviews are.
Yeah, that's probably why he does everything in the studio, and I get that. That's just not. I'm not going to fly people out, put them up in a hotel, and stick them in a studio. We'll just do it We'll do it this way. It works. TIS for $5. Between Vegemite and the Bear Thing, Shad's got some stuff he's got to work out. Well, he does. He does. He's fighting with Angry Joe right now, and good for him. And he called him, you know why he called out Angry Joe. So Angry Joe basically said, why are you getting angry about the Barbie movie? And I'm like breaking down the argument to its like core. And Chad's all, your name is Angry Joe. You fucking hypocrite. Okay, shut up. TKE 198 for $5 says, Lizzo of Star Wars fame being sued for sexual harassment. The story is horrendous. Also watched Attack of the Doc. Hit right in the nostalgia. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, Lizzo was making people like stuff bananas up their things, their holes, their bonus holes, something like that. I don't know.
That's freaky.
Welcome to the music industry. It's a fucking freaky place.
Here's the banana.
Yep. I don't watch Tim Pool Beyond the Clips, but he's not doing interviews. He has the right-wing version of The View. I don't watch The View either, says David March for 10 Canadian pesos. It might be. Tim Pool is infinitely more watchable than The View. Okay. I'll just say that. Burn Black for $5. WW is Warlords. Warlords says, you're not my Superman. You're younger with an accent like gals looking like her. I like Gunn in keeping her with the news today. Okay. I think Guns got a daunting task.
Did I hear that he's pivoting already? It's got to be because of the box office of The Flash, the box office of Blue Beetle, which is projected to tank, and Aquaman 2, which we haven't even seen a trailer for, which is supposed to open this year. Do you think that they're getting cold feet there? God, I'm just by even saying this, I'm extending I'm sorry, Gary.
Quick answer is they if they don't pivot, they're fucking stupid.
Right.
Like this stuff is like releasing this content was a horrendous mistake. They should have just put it on fucking Max. Found a way to do it. You're losing so much. They're losing so much money that Barbie, what's going to be the biggest hit of the fucking year, is not going to make up for their losses. So you just wasted, just like they wasted Joker, they wasted fucking Barbie. And this is all because of the previous regime. Everybody's going to put this on Zaslav's head. And it's like, no, Zaslav didn't put all this fucking garbage into production. The previous regime, Toby Emmerich, fucking moron. Mark Figueroa for $9.99. Gary, news came out that Sue Storm is going to be leading the Fantastic Four.
Oh God, is that real?
I believe it. I believe it. It could be just a fucking rumor, but how could you not believe that? Oh well. Corman's Fantastic Four will remain the best version, the most accurate version.
Yeah,
that's not going to change.
It looks like I may have an opportunity to interview Alex Hyde White, who played Mr. Fantastic in that movie. He wrote a book, not just about that, but he was in Indiana Jones, in The Last Crusade. I mean, he was in Titanic. I mean, he's had a really no, he wasn't in Titanic. Sorry, wrong actor. But Alex Hyde White's had an interesting career, so I'm trying to get him on Film Threat.
I'd love to.
Talk about his book.
Can check the here. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna look.
Oh.
Adam Driver passed. So like, where is this Margot Robbie rumored? I'm not seeing anything on the big trades. Is this like just Scooper stuff?
It's got to be Scooper stuff.
Yeah, I don't fuck with Scooper stuff. Yeah, like most of them are full of shit. Most of them are completely full of shit. They just rip stuff off of Reddit or whatever and just repurpose it for their own stuff. So, I'll tell you when I hear from somebody. I asked a friend that you have met, Chris, about the casting of the Fantastic Four when Adam Driver was originally announced, and he said no. Yeah. That was not happening, and it apparently did not happen because it's been months, and all we've heard is Adam Driver turned it down. Gary, I don't often disagree, but we have on a few occasions. But you do God's work. Gore, you are a God-giving G for the respect it deserved instead of the Frost BS. Cheers, Derek. I don't expect everybody to agree with me on everything. That'd be kind of weird, to be honest with you.
Sounds familiar.
Will superhero movies ever be good again? Also, Chris, can you make a long-form video about tropes from classic movies, 60s to 80s? That should make a comeback. Thanks, guys, and keep up the great content. Burn World Productions for $10. Well, Chris, we talked about like you doing videos in that interview format.
It's a matter of like I needed to get past the trial. Now my next goal is to get a good microphone so you can hear me when I do this.
And make 10-minute videos for your channel.
I might even be on camera for the Nooner once I've got to completely redo my setup. You've been to my place, Gary. It's a bit chaotic right now. So now that I've got Attack of the Dock, the Blu-rays are shipped. Now that I've finished the trial,
good. We'll get you rocking on 10-minute videos, Chris. We'll get it going. Also, did you hear that LA Comic Convention is going to be SAG compliant?
Well, by then
I don't know
things
what
should
that
be
means.
resolved. It's December 1st through the 3rd, Gary. I think it'll be resolved by then. And
I think so too.
You should come out. There should be an FNT panel
I will.
at LA Comic Con. I will help make
I
that
had such a good time last year that let's do it again.
All right, we're doing it.
Tomby for £5 British. When it comes to entertainment, you can only polish a turd so far. Everything after is a lie. Agreed. Senior Husos for $9.99. Chris is 100% spot on about Tim Pool. I used to be a daily watcher until I became tired of him talking over the guests. He had guests that say less than 3 minutes of total speech in a 2-hour show. Yeah, it's hard. But yeah. You can't win them all, but you got to try not to talk over them, especially when you're in the same room. I mean, that's right. So different than Doc Brewski for $1.99. PC Master Race Unite. Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
We won the poll too, by the way.
We won the poll. I heard Mark.
Yeah.
In the background. There you go. Constrained Acronism for $20. Gary, Wheel of Time needs you. We know it's a lot of homework, but it will be worth it for the fans. Amazon has captured every fan site. Everything is false positivity, and the showrunner has threatened to turn fan favorite characters gay. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I've got a month. I'm going to get through the first 2 books and the first season of Wheel of Time before it premieres. I've got 30 days to do this. And I'm going to have to dip in somewhere from the UK. You know, Disbrew can maybe help me because we're gonna see each other in person. All right, I'll give it the college try. The only thing that would prevent it from happening, because it seems to be mostly a quiet month, is if Kathleen Kennedy gets fired or something crazy happens, which could happen, by the way. Japanese Demon Lord, a beer Lucifer for $10. Enemy Matsuri, Gary, really sell out. LOL. Just kidding. And maybe you'll come to a man of culture. We can only hope. I'd try. Sure. I guess they wanted us to return. It's being coordinated by the great Nick Rekieta, the nose himself. And yeah. And especially if Drinker's going there, I would have just gone no matter what. Night King 01 for $2. You're excited for Dune 2, but I'm having thoughts of its future. Dune Messiah. I don't know if it will mesh well with the style of this movie if the same team does Dune Messiah. It looks and feels would be to be a complete 180. Would it work?
Well, here's okay. I've read Dune Messiah. Dune Messiah is kind of I read the first 5 Dune books. I didn't like the 5th one. The 4th one is the best. But the 2nd book is like an epilogue to what happens to Paul Atreides, right? And it takes place about 10, 12 years after. So Dune Part 2 should end with Paul Atreides. He's like 18 years old. And the Dune Messiah picks up where he's in his early 30s. And there's been this jihad across the galaxy and billions of people have died. And he feels responsible, and it's I don't want to get into too many of the details because some characters come back and whatnot. But what Denis Villeneuve said is he'd like to make the 3rd Dune in 10 years. So Timothée Chalamet will have actually aged like the character should in the books. So that's an intriguing concept. But we'll see. Dune Part 2 has to be a success. Then he's doing this Bene Gesserit series, which sounds very Game of Thrones to me.
Yeah, doesn't super excite me. I like them I like them as part of the story, but I wouldn't want. I mean, God, it would just be so fucking modern Hollywood. Sorry, it would.
Right.
But unless the right people took it over, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the movie though. Matthew Faxine. I'm going to say it like that. That's probably not how you say it, but I see Canadian, so I'm going to go my really bad version of French. You want something to talk about? Canada's imploding. You wait and see. Canada's going to go first, and then it's going to be the USA. Not that. Canada could implode. There's a lot of woke white people in Canada. There's fucking a lot.
There's also a lot of base people out here too.
There is a lot of base people. We need the base people. And I think I'm guessing it's your form of government. I heard somebody explain it the other day. I think it was Viva Frey. I think it was that, America is based more on independence and the individual, and Canada kind of capitulated to the empire and the corporation. And they're like a corporate-run country. They're a country run like a corporation. If I'm wrong on that, I don't know. I'm not big on my Canadian history. So it makes it a lot harder for shit to change. Not that it's easy here. I'm not a black pillar, though. I don't believe that. I think people are waking up big time. Agamemnon Fireman for $10. Hey, Gary, I want to give you a nice story. And I want Canada to be okay. I really want you to get rid of that whole suicide policy, though. That's bad. Hey, Gary, I want to give you a nice story. Maria Canals, voice of Hot Girl, is based. I met her at con where Graham Nolan was. Hail Graham Nolan, by the way, in New Jersey. And it made me so happy. She was my favorite character in that cartoon. Hot Girl was awesome in Justice League Unlimited. Fucking awesome. Like, made that character. This is totally random, but have any of you guys ever read David Gamel's Legend? It's a fantastic heroic fantasy book, severely underrated. I would say turn it into a movie, but I don't know if that's a good idea. Well, there is a Legend movie, Night King 01, as you know, by Ridley Scott, that I actually like a lot. I like the director's cut. I have not read the book, but I'll check it out. Predinesky for $13.99 Canadian. Movie budgets blow my mind, but I'd rather greenlight a Rob Zombie The Munsters 2 for $150 million than greenlight $300 million disaster of Indiana Jones movie. I agree. That Munsters movie was fucking bad, though. That was bad. But it was like, it's not like Indiana Jones bad. It was just like this. Rob Zombie can't make fucking movies. Okay. He was good in White Zombie. Night King 01 for $2 on the Streamline side. Have you seen Stephen Amell's response to the strike? He's getting a lot of backlash. Yeah, he bent the knee. He said, my off-the-cuff comments were not meant to harm actors. Your strike is reductive.
Real quick, we are not adults. We can debate things. We used to be able to debate things. And this kind of thing pisses me off. It is the most, I read the exact thing he said. It is so innocuous. It's him saying, I'm not it's him questioning. We can't question. We can't debate.
This is the shit we went through with COVID. This is how unions work. It's Marxist fucking bullshit. Go fuck yourselves, union. Go fuck yourselves. You're striking at the worst time possible, you fucking morons. Most of you won't be working when it's over. There will be a deal, and half of you will be out of a job.
They are about
how fucking well did your union work for you then?
Exactly. They're going to Thanos half the people in Hollywood.
Yep.
And the industry will shrink because streaming was not the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They were sold a lie, and the tech industry track record. Tech industry came in and gave us all these black mirrors, and social media has perverted kids' minds and contributed to mental illness. Probably worse for your health than cigarettes is the Black Mirror phone, social media given to kids at a young age. Second thing is the music industry is imploded. We're not even doing 99 cents a song. I pay $15 a month to Spotify. And I just saw these numbers. Gary, I should send you the chart. I'm going to DM it to you on Twitter of what people get paid per stream. It's disgusting. So tech imploded the music industry, imploding now Hollywood entertainment, the film industry. And when there was this thread about indie film or what they call decentralized
I saw
media,
that.
It's already existed.
Yeah,
John Waters is in Baltimore. Robert Rodriguez, Richard Linklater, they're in Austin, Texas. Freaking Gus Van Sant is in Portland. Indie filmmakers are all over.
Do you know Francis Ford Coppola said Robert Rodriguez pulled off what he and George could not?
Yes.
With his studio, when he got that studio from the Air Force Base or whatever, he got that hangar where he did Sin City or something like that. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Coppola and George Lucas both said we were trying to do something like that and we couldn't. making your own studio, basically. He's got a little one. Robert Rodriguez isn't what he used to be. I watched the Boba Fett series. But that's what we need. It's already there. You're right. The infrastructure for indie is already there. We have far less gatekeepers, and we'll see where it goes.
That was the point of our panel at Comic-Con in San Diego, was just do your own shit. By the way, I DM'd both you and X-Ray Girl. This is what on a stream where someone listens, the estimated what creators get. I know I am going to use this as a joke on Hollywood on the Rocks. I'm kind of tipping my hand. But look at that chart.
Well,
that's just stuff that's out there, and it's interesting that YouTube is on that list.
Do you want me to share it, or do you want me to
share the image?
Yeah, sure.
And then just look at it. It's interesting that I think Spotify I think pays the most. No, Napster.
Napster. Dang.
But look at YouTube.
Now that's streaming payouts on movies that they rent, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because their payouts are a lot better to us, but it's I mean, I would say a lot compared to 0.00069.
Exactly.
Or 69.
Yes.
I'm gonna send you another article, but something to read later. Don't you have a video to do, right? You had a video.
I got a video to do, but I got to finish these super chats. So let's do it.
Man.
Molabelli for $10. New fan toxicity is a myth to me. There's always been the problems and types of fans that weren't given so much power and validation when fans managed themselves. Their damage was limited. Exactly. There's assholes everywhere, basically. Okay. They're always going to be there. They're always part of everything. And the truth of the matter is the majority of the assholes work in journalism. Those are the majority of the assholes. Not Ginger on the Streamlabs side. What's up, Not Ginger for 532? A birthday stream for me. Thanks, man. You're welcome. Happy birthday. I have to wonder why I should care about the Hollywood strikes, because there is nothing less than a plethora of TV I have to catch up on anyway. Been watching Deep Space Nine, which I am adoring. Odo is the best goo man. He is. And you're right.
Goo man.
And I just go back and I'm like flipping through after when I'm done with The Witcher. I cannot wait to cleanse the palate with something good. Tricky for $5. There had never been so many women watching a gaming stream than when Cavill put that computer together. Yep. Thomas Pickett for $5. You guys, you know what is fun to do when you're broke? Selling your blood.
They pay you for that?
Yes, they do. MK Solid 82 for $4.99. Gary, thoughts on Sarah Frazetta? She's really hot and seems to know her grandfather's male audience, unless I'm wrong. I like Sarah Frazetta. She does a lot of stuff. She works with Geek Grind Coffee, too. She is hot. Yep. Studio, fuck. Our content is tanking, and we can't blame our diverse employees. Wait, I got it. Toxic fandom. See everyone at the team building orgy. Says Stickle Jane for $4.99. So true. I just received my copy of Isom 2, says Joshua Linder for $5. Hail! That's awesome. It is more woke to change yourself into a scroll. No, change your sex, then change yourself into a scroll, says Thomas Pickett for $5. Thomas Pickett for $2. Nick Furry to Nick Furry? Yes. Yes. Vinyl Morpheus for $4.99. Please refer to Tim by his true name. Dim Fool is a dim fool. Roger Meadows for $5. The word woke has been bastardized. That's not what it means. It's being thrown at us is identity politics and virtue signaling, not woke. Woke, Roger, encompasses all of that now. That's what woke means now. So it's absolutely the whole like woke, like waking up. That woke was actually, the term was repurposed to shut you up. It actually means the opposite. People go, what does woke mean? It means putting you back to sleep, dividing us. That's what it means. It became a tool of the system. So no, woke actually does mean identity politics. That's what it means. Now, we have changed the definition. If they can change the definitions of words, so can we, motherfuckers. But yeah, woke is Marxism beliefs. It is separating people. It is the exact opposite of waking up. It is put blinders on. Metal Leo channel does San Francisco vids. That's it. Metal Leo. Say Diano for 2 British pounds. Thank you very much. Metal Leo. If you want to see the dystopian hellhole that is San Francisco from the street view, watch those videos. They're very good. And he's funny. He's actually a legit funny guy. Hey, from Sarajevo. Keep up the great content. Thank you, Dr. Gordo. I appreciate that. Do you see Tyrone Magnus's reaction to your Marvel is Dead video? Not yet, Diano. I'll watch it. I know that's been a lot of talk, people reacting to videos. For one, Tyrone asked me if he could do that, which he did not need to do. And I said, of course he can. I like Tyrone. Tyrone's a good dude. We got to get him on Friday Night Tights. I've streamed with him on Drinker's Channel before.
Tyrone
Magnus. Okay, so names you need to... Little Platoon.
Yes, I have that.
Yeah, we need to get him on. Tyrone Magnus, we need to get on. Absolutely. Hot Dog Man on the Streamlabs side for $3. Do you take a pre-workout before you hit the gym? What kind of workouts are you doing? Staying healthy and in shape gets harder the older we get. Keep up the good work. Let's see Ripped Gary one of these days. I don't know if
Rogue energy for me.
Water. I drink some water before I go work out. I drink water when I get back.
You don't need pre-workout either. I just like having
I do elliptical. I run. I lift little weights.
Yeah.
Stay there for about it's gone up to like an hour and a half now.
If you do sweat a lot and you don't eat a lot of salt, you might need some like a hydration with electrolytes. So that's if you sweat a lot.
Yeah.
So that's
but I just go like damn near every day. Every day. I don't do 3 days a week or 5 days a week. I'll like skip a day maybe. But I go every day. I try to go every single fucking day. It's not that hard. I usually try to do it first thing. I didn't today, but I used to try to do it first. Gets your heart rate up. It's much better to do it than
the endorphins.
Yep.
They make you happier.
I like the ritual of it too. And I just fucking get lost in music. I just get really loud music going and get lost in it. Hot Dog Man for $3. Any San Antonio meetups this year? San Japan Big Tech Comic Con next year. I'd love to meet y'all. I am an X-ray tech at my work. Schedule is crazy. Yes.
Absolutely. I understand that.
We're going to do one around the holidays. We're going to do a San Antonio like Christmas meetup. Gary, I live around where Az lives. Will there be any meetup close to that area? Maybe, Aki, for 5 British pounds. Maybe. I don't know how far north we're going. I could say Az lives north. I don't know. We are going on a tourist trip. It's like we're getting a bus. We're riding around. It's like a private trip, but we're going to be at Stonehenge and Bath and do that. I'll probably run around London to check out the museums. And if it's still there, that tour, what's it called again? Bloody London or something like that. It's a big long tour.
The murder tour or something like that?
No, it's a torture tour where the London Dungeons. I'll probably do that touristy thing because I fucking loved it. So KW for $4.99. Didn't RMB say the scripts to Secret Invasion were amazing? If that is true, they screwed that up. Yes, he did. I don't know what he said about them afterwards, but he read them and said they're amazing. They were written by a guy from Mr. Robot, but as you just heard, they probably got noted to death. Matthew Facsheen for 5 Canadian pesos. X-Ray Girl for Prime Minister. I would vote for Prime Minister. I would.
No.
Smooth the DJ for €5. Hail, Mr. Gore, Gary, and X-Ray Girl. Going to be at Anime Matsuri soon to meet some of the Modrotics. Maybe we'll bump into each other by chance. Go tit. Oh, I'm sure we will. I'm sure I'll see you there. I'm sure I'll see you. Well, if Modrotics, just let me know how many of you are going. And get
you
that.
Can let me know.
Yeah, let X-Ray Girl give her the list of the Modrotics that are going. Okay, I need that list. Not applicable for $2. The internet makes debating somewhat difficult. Also, yeah, it does. I mean, unless you get on the same show. And there are some debates, like Mueller just wiped the floor with Destiny a couple day before yesterday.
Oh, did he? I
Yeah.
still haven't watched it.
It was not even close. Not even close. I don't know. I don't get Destiny. I see him at a lot of talks.
Destiny, like the blue hair guy.
Yeah. I don't get.
I respect him. I just think he's. I don't know. I think what I like is at least he listens.
Yes.
Doesn't say you're wrong because you think this way. And I do believe that having seen him on which is weird, the whatever podcast.
What? Yes.
X-Ray Girl recommended to me, which I'm sure X-Ray Girl will be on that show one day. Well, Sean and Brittany Venti were on it. They were good.
Yeah,
I watched the whole
Anna was that. Yeah.
Anna was on. I watched those episodes, but yeah, no. At least he kind of you can. He will spell out his argument logically out loud, and I believe at least he questions, and I respect him for that. Whereas I feel like a lot of other, I just don't get the blue hair. I think the blue hair, he looks like an idiot. I feel like when I look at photos of myself in fashions from the early 90s, I look stupid. So I would just question his fashion choices, but at least his arguments, he thinks it through logically. And even though I can disagree with him, and that's fine. So there you go.
Yo, I'm a huge fan of your content. Do you think the MCU will ever make a comeback? If so, will they need to get far away from Disney? P.S. Dope setup. Thank you, Pomoni, for $4.99. If Disney vaulted the MCU after Secret Wars for 10 years, sure. I think there would be a chance. You'd have to get a new regime. You'd have to bring new blood in, and it'd have to be out of this woke era. Or if they started licensing their content, like once in a while, we'd probably get a good movie, a good take. It would be getting away from the interconnectivity, but that's going away anyway, because it sounds to me, what I've heard, Sony ain't gonna be playing ball with Marvel anymore. They haven't been chit-chatty, we'll just say, because Sony sees the writing on the wall. They're like, oh, Craven's a fucking terrible idea, but we're talking Spider-Man specifically. We'll see what happens with that. We'll see. All right, we're going to end it there. Thank you to the mod. We got all the super chats. Thank you to the Modrotics and everybody in the left super chat and donation. You help keep the lights on. We love you guys. Chris, you've got your stream coming up.
Yes.
Hollywood on the Rocks.
On the Rocks in 34 minutes. I'm making a cheeseburger as we speak.
Yum.
That sounds good.
For those who.
All right, so go.
I'm making a cheeseburger.
Do a cooking stream.
Yes.
I got cooking with Gore. So there, I've got my whole setup, and I'm making a cheeseburger, and I'm gonna get ready for that. I'm gonna talk about. I saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm gonna talk about TMNT.
Was it good? Yes or no? Real quick.
The thing is this. Everyone's ready to hate it. Like, I thought it was fine. It's entertaining.
Really?
But I have nothing invested. I remember the comic book when there was a wave. Do you remember, Gary? It wasn't just TMNT. It was radioactive adolescent hamsters, and they were all these knockoffs. I thought it was fun. I never watched the cartoon. I played the video game. I thought the movie was weird and creepy because they didn't act like teenagers. In this, they act like sort of goofy teenagers. I found it charming. I'll talk more. Alan disagrees with me, apparently, and he just wrote a review for the Film Threat website.
There you go.
I am literally in my kitchen. There I'm cooking the burger, and I'll be on my screen. I might change my t-shirt.
Yeah. Well, go raid Film Threat. I'm going to go make a video. I'm going to go to the gym and then make a video, and then my wife will be home. So tonight.
Cool.
And then what do you got coming up, X-Ray Girl?
I'm going to be gaming tonight, and then I have Zia on Poor Choices, where we're probably going to talk about boobs and Lizzo.
Whatever you chicks talk about.
I'll be there.
Boobs.
9 p.m. Eastern. Poor Choices.
Boobs, bonus holes, and Lizzo. That's what you chicks talk about all the time. Yeah, Jesus Christ. All right. All right. So tune into that, and I will be back Friday Night Tights with Lauren Chen.
Yes.
So
nice.
Catch you guys later.
Later.